I mean, dude, I couldn't find a better crew to do business with and get buff, baby. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, I think that was a key thing that brought me in, you know. I was 35% body fat coming in, and it was like, other factors played in as well, and Uncaged had this like, um, your ideology, right? Your ideology just fit my vibe for what my goals were. Now, I was a short little fat man at the time, so I mean, and I'm still working it down. I'm not saying I'm not, not still got a little bit of weight on me. I'm still at 27%, but I mean, I've lost 8% body fat, so that's a huge shift. I mean, I basically got rid of the Santa belly right before Christmas, basically for over the last year, but whatever.
Yeah.
And you got a couple of my guys in here, right? Like, so Matt Hurtgen, uh, Jesse Boggs, both really good friends of mine. And I just want to be with them and what they're up to too. And it's kind of, you can kind of hear the dynamic. Like, we talk about working out and stuff like that, and on, how working out goes, on again, off again,
Mm.
you know. And and I know Jesse's led some of the, me, I got a kind of a recovery story too, and he's led some of that stuff, so being a part of that was pretty cool. Showing up to those meetings and getting to know some of those guys. So but yeah, I mean, it's the ideology just fits my vibe and what my goals, and going into 2026, like this is the year I feel like it starts to show in both areas, income and assets, baby. Let's go.
Dude, I love it, bro. I love it. Well, shit, man. Why don't you tell the guys listening who you are or what you're doing? Let's just get into it, brother.
Oh yeah, so my name's it's Tony Dayton. I'm a mortgage broker for Edge Home Finance. So during the day, that's my day job. I specialized in a lot of VA loans the first 5 years of my career, as a combat veteran, 100% service connected from the military. And then to kind of onset that, before I got into mortgage, I was actually kind of, I was semi-retired, right? Not really doing much, disability and all that. And what I would do instead of work is I would work for nonprofits for free, right? And so I was out there learning the ropes, learning, how veterans benefits work, how learning how, how kind of the language barrier between the VA and a veteran, and really just kind of took heed of that. And so I once I kind of got really familiar with the system, I really kind of became just an expert on how to coach guys to understand what they have to do, because there's a lot of division amongst the VA. That is, if you don't understand the VA from an on the outside looking in, it looks like one organization, but it's actually broke up into three, right? And each three pillars is a different spot that you got to go for whatever your needs are, right? You got the health administration, you got the disability side, and you got the benefit side, right? So it's like VHA, VBA, and whatever it is. I can't remember the third one off the top of my head, but uh, what happens is, and I watched my uncle do this, Vietnam veteran. What happens with veterans is they'll go into the VHA side, right? Get seen for whatever, Agent Orange, skin rashes, PTSD, all this stuff, and think that that is supposed to trigger something to the benefit side for the VA disability, and that just isn't the case, so and I have to teach guys that. I have to teach guys that, hey, like, hey, if you go in for these conditions and you've got these diagnoses, now we got to go over here and we got to fill out this intent to file or initial form claim or whatever to go back and do your to get your disability claim. So that way it triggers everything. So you can actually start getting paid for the conditions you got while you served, So that's been a lot of who I am, a lot of my passion kind of wrapped up into, I help veterans and I help people find homes. And I've really kind of expanded on all that, in the last 2.5 years. I've really expanded my business away from, I wouldn't say away from VA, I've added to my VA ability, with a plethora of loan programs, pretty much anything you can think of. I lend money. at the end of the day is what I do.
That's awesome, dude. Well, appreciate your service both in combat and stateside, taking care of some of the other boys that need some help. You said something, I was kind of laughing about it in the beginning. Yeah, I wrote down my notes. We do business and we get buff. And like I started to like, as a joke, like I kind of like from a comical standpoint laughed about that, but also like that's what's been really cool about like for me from an outsider perspective is like you see some of these guys who come in for one reason, right? Like there's something's top of mind, something is you know I'll say this analogy on air. I know I use it a lot, but for those that are listening, like there's an analogy of this gentleman that's walking down the street and he walks by a house, and on the house as a front porch, and there's a man in a rocking chair and a dog laying next to him, and the dog is crying. So this gentleman on the street walks into town, and he goes into town for the night, does whatever. And after he's done with everything, he starts walking back down the same street, down the same sidewalk, right back by the same house, and sees the same man in a rocking chair and dog laying next to him, and the dog is still crying. And so he stops, and the gentleman on the street was like, "Why is the dog still crying?" And the man in the rocking chair is like, "He's laying on a nail." And the gentleman on the street was like, "Well, why doesn't he get off the nail?" The man in the rocking chair said, "I guess it just doesn't hurt bad enough." Right. And so, like, you see men enter uncaged because somewhere in their life, the nail is finally hurting bad enough. Like, they finally decide to get off the nail and do something about it, and it's just so fucking awesome. And I spoke pretty heavily on this on the last podcast about how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And it's really cool for me from an outside perspective to see guys come into the ecosystem because one area of their life they knew they needed to fix. And as they simultaneously started fixing that, it opened up other areas in their life for room for improvement. And it's cool to see them start adapting this mindset that we're like, cool, we're working on this, we got progress there, where else can I be better? And then like the better you are in other areas, you start seeing another room for improvement. And have you experienced seeing that? Because I mean, you were the joke about business and buff, like business is going good, we're in the gym getting buff, but like what was that experience been like for you?
I mean, you kind of absolutely right. Like you get into the gym, all of a sudden, what are you doing? If you're going to the gym 5 days a week, what's the first thing that comes to mind that you're doing?
If I'm going to the
Yeah,
gym,
what do you have? What do you have if you're going to the gym 5 days a week?
discipline,
Exactly. What makes money?
discipline.
Doing the same thing over and over again,
Mhm.
right? Just a few short sets of things, what do they say, like six things, do them well and over again, and that's how you make millions, right?
Mhm.
And so that's like the key. Yeah, you come in for one thing, but when you start to better yourself in the right trajectory, right? That's I mean, you pretty much are encompassing mind and body, right, with what you stand for. I mean, you've even got some mental health aspects in it with your retreats and your, like your those things are what make money. You protect the temple and the temple will grow, so or shine, however you want to put it, So I mean, I think that just goes without saying. As soon as you start coming in and you start, kind of doing that work on yourself, it's going to affect all areas of your life every time.
No, I agree. And that's why I like, so we originally, when we launched Uncaged, we kind of really divulged like six pillars that we would focus on in a man's life. And that was just because like the common consensus from men that I spoke to, which is thousands and thousands of men at this point, is guys need some help with their health, right? Guys need some help with wealth building. Guys need help with the relationships. Guys need to make more money. Guys need to save more money. Guys need to save more time. And like the more we started to really unpack these things, it was cool to see how deep, the onion layers could go because, like, all right, cool. What does health mean then, right? Like physical health, mental health, even financial health or spiritual health, right? Like you could really start to get deeper and deeper there. And then like, all right, what does wealth mean? Right. And, for some people, like wealth is like, is that creating a legacy? Is that, helping others that have been in a situation from you? So like a morally wealthy position, right? Like you start breaking some of that down. Relationships, is that relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your employees? And so as we started to really kind of build this out and flesh it out, we really kind of realized that, we always knew that it was a personal development and a professional development ecosystem because, again, how you do one thing's how you do everything. But we started really finding out that like health, wealth, and relationships were really like your personal development aspect, and you had to start there first. Like we have to fix the person before we can ever fix the business, right? And then so then like making money, and saving time really developed into like the professional development side of things. And like again, like the prerequisite to even building a business as being someone, like you said, that has the foundation set to even be able to do so, which is the discipline, right? You hear people talk all the time about like how motivation and inspiration doesn't mean anything, but it's truly like discipline that is what creates like life-changing, like, waves in people's lives. And it's fucking true. It's we kind of sometimes we discredit some of the more cliche, sayings or whatever, but like when you really start to unpack what some of these are and why so many people, reference them so often, it's because there's so much validity to it. And like we start really like understanding, like you said, like at the end of the fucking day, bro, it all comes down to discipline. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, discipline on how you spend it, discipline on where you're showing up. I mean, yeah, discipline. With that, you're unstoppable. Like you have integrity, dude. With discipline, if I tell you I'm going to do something and you know I'm going to do it, that's power that I have with you,
100%, bro.
So I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. That's discipline is just 100%. Like that's how, and I didn't have a lot of that before. And I feel like I floundered. I hadn't had discipline honestly, since I was in the military. My military service, it didn't go well for me afterwards. I became a drug addict. I shot myself in Iraq. I mean, I did all kinds of crazy stuff in between all that made it where I didn't think I was going to mount to anything. So I didn't have discipline when I was in the military. I did, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I mean, and I was pretty. I mean, I feel like I had a good chance for a great career in the military if I would have not, things wouldn't happen the way they did, but they did, and here we are, right? So, what I say, no regrets.
No regrets. So like with that being said, like, have you, so you, let's just be honest, like, you got out of the military where you had a regiment, and then you're kind of thrown back into life without one, with very little structure, if any. And you clearly fucking fell off the bandwagon, right? Got into some shit you shouldn't have. But like, again, I think that's a huge testament on the detriment that like a lack of a regiment can create, the environment it can create. Tell us a little bit about your story of like what it's been like going from being unregimented to, I'm assuming that now you are, right? And like you've got this regiment now, business is doing better than ever. You're down, more weight than you have been in a long time, body fat percentage wise, right? So what's that journey for like Tony been like going clearly unregimented meant very fucking bad for Tony, and then regimented meant very well for Tony. What was that like?
I mean, when it started to get bad is when I really couldn't do things physically that I could always do. Like, I mean, I was a guy that could do 11, 13 pull-ups, no problem, 45 dips on a chair, handstand push-ups, whatever, right? One-handed, like I'd watch all the Bruce Lee movies and try to copy the push-ups. Uh, and and when I got to a point where I could barely, dude, I couldn't even put my socks on. I couldn't put my socks on. I mean, lucky for me in this business, most people don't see me because they might have saw, where I was headed and be like, I don't know if this guy's the guy I want to work with to advise me on my finances when, he doesn't have no discipline. How's he going to advise me in any way, So I'm probably lucky in that regard for that couple of years, because it was right. It started really getting bad around COVID. I think a lot of us dealt with that, right? Probably right before COVID. I don't want to blame it all on COVID there. It was probably right before COVID, and then COVID definitely didn't help. I mean, for mortgage, the rates dropped to like 2.25%. So, I mean, I was sitting like this for days, you know.
Mhm.
I know, and I wasn't as the sports weren't really happening because I play a lot of sports. I play a lot of softball, I played football on Thanksgiving. I played basketball all the time, so like even the stuff that I was active wasn't happening. So, and it was all, what do you call it? Uber Eats, Uber Eats, DoorDash, let's go.
Yeah.
All bad for you. So, I was doing that. I think sleeping, I would stay up super, super late, sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and it's not always due to lack of discipline. Sometimes it's obviously, you know, the just comes with the territory of being a combat veteran and what I went through even after.
Right.
Um, but it was more frequent because it wasn't discipline. It was video games, it was TV shows, it was, things that would keep my mind awake anyway. So really, I've got all these issues and I'm just expanding on them, right? I'm expounding on them because and then not to mention when you gain weight like that, guess what happens? Your depression levels, your mental health, like I mean, you aren't like, oh, I'm a stud anymore. You know what I mean? Can't even, lift a 50-pound sandbag out of the back of a truck for to feed the dog or the dog bag or dog food or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm sweating, I can't even get it out, or whatever. So uh, yeah, I mean, I think that going from that, and it took like I had one time where I did this competition. I went in, it was like 2 months, dude. I swear, I'm eating spinach in the morning. And I'm like choking it down. I got zucchini I'm frying in the morning, and I always reference the morning because that's the hardest time for me to eat random stuff.
Mhm.
But I went on and I actually won the competition. I had to lose like 5% body fat or whatever it was to get my money back. And I did it. And then of course, gone again. And then I'd get back into the gym, you know, go back to the gym, wouldn't really know what I was doing, or maybe I'd do a class, I'd start things would start hurting more than usual and then I'd fall off. There was one time where I was super motivated. This was about a year and a half ago because I could feel the change was coming. I could
Mhm.
feel like I knew I got to get this mindset right. I got to get this mindset right because, especially after the doctor told me, hey, you're way obese. You're on the borderline for diabetes. You're, looking at, heart disease, whatever, for that comes with being that obese. And I mean, I'm only 5'5", so 225 pounds, that's 5'5". That's a very short little fat man, so so uh and so I'm going through and I'm trying, and then finally, a few things I think one of the things that happened first was that I knew I had to conquer was food. Food was the hard, and it's still the struggle. Like that's worse than a crack hit. Food is the number one offender I feel like for killing us, and killing our bodies. Like that's the one that's there's so much. I don't want to call it poison, but there's just a lot of poison in it. You know what I mean? I have to look directly. I mean, that's what they're finding. So, and I would just do McDonald's, Burger King. I was eating all the bad stuff. It didn't matter. Cookies, full bags of chips. I mean, and I'm talking the party size.
Yeah.
I'm smashing the whole bag. And I just had there's no discipline around it. So it was a lot of that going through, going back and forth. I finally conquered the food. It's what I got right here, actually. Can you see it? Nope, you can't see it. Anyways, I got this, it's this breakfast pizza, and the base of it is like a meat with vegetables on top of it.
Mhm.
So I started ordering these foods, and I was like, all right. I told my wife and my daughter, I go, because my wife's a fitness coach and she can basically eat whatever the hell she wants.
Mhm.
Um, and I told them, I said, I can't eat with you guys anymore. Like I know family dinners, like we weren't really good at those anyways. I was like, I just have to stop. I know I would love to have family dinner, but I have to just commit to uh just eating these foods. And I did. And that was about a year and maybe 3 months ago now. And so for the first 4 or 5 months was really just me training myself to eat these meal preps.
Mhm.
And I'd have them delivered to my house every Sunday. And they were good. Like I love them. They're great. And they change them every week, you know. And I knew that I was never going to be able to conquer food by following some fad trend, eating a bunch of spinach. Like I'm gonna want to puke it up by day 10.
Right.
So that's never gonna work for me. Like I needed something self-sustaining. And so now I got those foods. I think I was about 4 months into that, and then I was really started going to the gym again. I because I got hurt at the gym. I don't know what happened, but I was doing a tricep extension and something popped in my neck, and I just had shooting pains down my shoulder. And I had these shooting pains. I mean, it was brutal for like a month and a half. Like it was a pinched nerve. It was so bad. Like it was the worst. And there's nothing they can do for it. You know what I mean? They give me a little like this little weird pillow and have me like strap my head to it and like try to stretch out. And
Yeah.
it was brutal, you know. And I was motivated. I felt motivated for the gym that time. And then so I don't know, somewhere around maybe 7, 8 months ago now, I started going to the gym. I got signed up for this place called Industrious. And I was going there like twice a week, you know. I said I was going 3 times a week, but I was really making it. I'd always miss because I'm a busy guy, you know, so I'd go like twice a week. And then I did that for like 3, 4 months, and I was like, okay. I was seeing some better change, but it wasn't quite the results I wanted. I think it was about 3 months ago now, 4 months ago now. I said, I'm going 5 days a week. I'm going 5 days a week. And ever since I started doing that, now I don't make every week, 5 days a week, but I definitely try. You know, like if I miss, it's literally because I literally have no choice to miss. You know, so I go, and if I don't make it on one of the weekdays, I go on Saturday and Sunday. So I think I probably only missed 2 days in the last 4 months of not doing 5 days a week. Um, and since I started doing 5 days a week, the results just started pouring in. I was like, holy cow. And of course, you know, like I started seeing it in the mirror and I wanted more. I was like, yeah, now I'm mad when I can't go to the gym. I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like I had this meeting last Friday. I was like, we were supposed to be done at 5 so I could get to the gym. We didn't get out of there till like 6:30. I'm like, this is some bullshit. I'm trying to go to the gym. You guys are screwing me up. So, whatever, right? In fact, it was 2 weeks ago. I had hurt myself on my bicep a little bit, and the coach at the industrious was like, "Hey, you need to like take a few days off." And I'm like, I really don't want to, you know. I think I played some basketball in between, and like, you know,
Yeah,
just like
right.
some light workout, you know. But yeah, no, hitting it 5 days a week, and then dude, I'm bench pressing more than I've ever done. You know, I'm at 265 on my bench. That's crazy. The 27% body fat. I'm deadlift is about 355, 360 right now. You know, I mean, all through high school, even my military career, I don't remember benching over 150 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, you know, so I'm just like crushing. And so it feels good. It feels good, dude. I think, and then it feels like a shift. Like this morning, I'm at my desk. I mean, I'm at my desk. I was at my desk like 8 a.m. this morning, like just kind of motivated. And I got this new trick. So check this out. I'm about to shed some NASA knowledge on you right now. So I was talking to my buddy. He's a cop. And he's like, "Hey, NASA did this study, and he's like, if you have troubles when you wake up in the morning, what you do is you get up out of bed and you bounce." NASA did a study that if you get up out of bed and you bounce for like 1 minute, it gets all your blood flowing. So you're kind of like, doing the whatever, stand there and bounce for a minute. It gets all the blood flowing, and you're just like, and it's like, bing, and you're awake. And I'm telling you, it's working, dude. It's working like crazy. I'm like, no freaking way. I did tell my wife, be like, hey, don't worry. I'm not like having a seizure. It's not a mental health attack, you know? Uh, it's crazy how like my eyes just feel open and I'm ready to go, so.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, bro. Like that's I mean, it's really cool to see that shift, like and a lot of people struggle with the ups and the downs. But like what was it that you what was the switch that happened that like made it go from like on again, off again, on again, off again, like kind of half in, half out, riding the fence to like just pushing the chips all in.
Oh, where was the switch? Where was that switch? I think I think it was just I was doing it 3 times a week and it felt like I was working real hard, and it was just I don't know that there was any like one thing, but I was like, I want these results faster. I was like, I was already starting to like what I was seeing again. I was getting my
Right.
confidence back. And I mean, I don't know, maybe my wife started to wink a little more at me, probably. That's what the switch was.
Right.
Like I love my wife, you know what I mean? And so she's probably like starting to pay a little bit more attention. And I don't know if it was like a quick switch or uh I saw that and I just said, let's go. And then you know, it's been great. It's been good since then.
That's awesome, bro. Well, throughout this process, I think the biggest thing for most people is, like I said, like just realizing that they've had enough, like that it was finally time to get off the nail, which is, really exciting to see you going through that. And, obviously like you said, being locally surrounded by some guys that, are in the same thought process as well as like the rest of the guys. It's just always cool to see how the power of your ecosystem and the circle of influence that you have and how it can do that because like shit like man you got me excited. I've already been to the gym today. I want to go back. Like you know what I mean. It's like
Right?
it's exciting and I agree. I think that once you finally start to see some of the fruits of your labor, some of the results, like it gets addicting and then you want more and more and more. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, considering what we're talking about. Like we're wanting to get better personally, we're wanting to get better professionally, and like seeing how it all is intertwined. And then, like once you start getting, one area of your life, you know, um, to where it's basically on autopilot, it starts bleeding over into other areas. And so it's like it's really cool to see how like people just it starts changing their lives once they realize like enough is enough and it's time to fucking stop making excuses.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I know it's like almost it's a paradigmic shift.
Hmm.
The hardest ones to explain is just the shift. Just like when you get riding a bike.
Yeah.
How do I just get that going to the gym is what I going to getting to the gym, lifting some weights, pushing my body is what I actually want. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, how do I get that shift?
Hmm.
Because I feel like before you don't, if when you're not working out and you're lazy or whatever, you don't have that shift of just like when you jump on a bicycle and you just know to pedal,
Yeah.
keep balance.
100%.
And I don't know how to give you that. I don't. I feel like once you're on the other side of it, it's like you're telling your buddies that are needing to get to the gym or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, I know. Same thing you were saying, yeah, I know. So it's like, I don't, they're like, what works for you? I'm like, bro, I don't know if what works for me is gonna work for you.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
so I know they're coming out. They got a lot of technologies out, to where we can actually. That was one of the things I never really understood. I'd sign up for these fitness apps and these food people, and sometimes I'd see results and sometimes I wouldn't. Even if I followed the program, like I wouldn't see the results I'd expect. And now with all these technologies out, I think what do they call it, a DEXA fit scan? So I'm like, I want to go see that. You
Right.
know, um, that same buddy that told me the thing about NASA said that one of the cop guys, who's a linebacker in football, and he's crushing himself, right? He's crushing himself, but the guy cannot drop weight. And he did the DEXA scan. Turned out he was working. I mean, he was heart rate 200, whatever, getting it, right? Getting it every time. And it was actually because he was working out too hard. He needed his heart rate at like a 160, 170 or something, he was saying, not that above that or 150. Like, you know what I'm saying, though,
Yeah.
right? Like he needed it to be a little bit less and like longer
Mm,
to get his true burn.
damn.
And so I'm really kind of digging, like I want to know. I think knowledge is power when it comes to especially our bodies. And I feel like it's been something that's been an unknown for a long time,
Yeah.
for not not to everybody, just like some people really understand it and some of us just don't.
Hey, bro, you don't know what you don't know till you know it, man. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's at the top of the hour. I don't know if we're going to get into some political shit about that being some protected information, like other finances and other things. But like, I mean, that's the thing, we're allowed to give ourselves some grace for not knowing what we don't know. But that's what the importance of surrounding yourself with other like-minded men and people is. That's the power of it. You start getting access to information that was otherwise never made readily available for you. So, man,
yeah.
I'm excited for having you on. Man, is there anything that we can do to pay you back for the time that you spent here with us today, bro?
Oh, I don't think so. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm excited. I'm hoping that this year I can get, that Jesse's actually at Edge Home Finance now. So I know you're
Yes.
real familiar with Jesse.
Yep.
Uh, and so he's working with me now, and I'm super excited for his trajectory. And it looks up. Like when you draft, when you draft a guy on your fantasy football team, and you're like, this guy might go off, and he's a rookie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I brought Jesse in, and I'm like, hey, this guy's upside looks pretty good. I drafted him.
Yeah. No, I'm excited, bro. I talked to Hurtgen about it too, and he said the same thing, man. He's super excited. Jesse's a great fucking dude. I love that guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a good dude. So
That's awesome.
I'm
Well,
excited.
bro, I appreciate you for spending your time here with us today. And for those that are listening, I appreciate you. If you want to reach out to Tony at all, you can reach out to him directly. If you can't get a hold of him, reach out to myself or anyone else in Uncaged, and we'll be more than happy to connect you. Other than that, we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.